What is going on, everyone? This is Leveraging Your L's. Appreciate you all for tuning in today. My name is Nathaniel Jermison, aka Stamper, and we have my lovely co-host Tierra Bryant, the efficient, on this lovely Thursday. What's going on, T? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? We missed our Tuesday link up, but we here on Thursday.
Yeah, Tuesday. I know it's been a hell of a week. You know why, man? It's been very busy. Been running on fumes as of late, but just got to keep on pushing. Got to keep
That's
on
it.
pushing, but the important part is no matter what, we show up. So as long as we show up, we let the rest fall into place, right?
That's a fact. Absolutely. No, my week has been pretty good. Getting ready for our weddings in May. We're prepping for our weddings in June. So just getting those things together.
Mhm.
And dang, what was I about to say? Oh man, I forgot. But so I have to
It
share with
happens.
y'all. I know. I have to share with y'all. I got a phone call earlier, probably like an hour and a half ago,
Okay.
from a peer who's also an officiant, and she made me think of a topic that I think we don't really consider as
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, but really should be our first line of offense, right? As
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, and that is like customer recovery.
Mm.
So
Okay.
essentially, like, how do you recover a sale when something goes wrong, either within or outside of your control, essentially, so that you don't end up with a bad review? You want to avoid trying to give a refund, so
Hmm.
what can you do to kind of save that experience, for that customer?
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it was interesting because the call was basically she had a wedding about 2 weeks ago, and the couple was going to obtain their marriage certificate, but it wasn't there. And so it's kind of like, what do you do in that situation, right? They paid you to do this job. A part of the job is, returning it to the county clerk's office,
Hmm.
and sometimes that just doesn't happen depending on where the wedding at, if it's far away from your home, if it's on a weekend, like things of that nature. So typically we mail it back. And so once you mail it back, right, it's outside of your control. Whatever happens with the post office, whether it gets delivered, mishandled, or anything like that, is not something that you can, have control over. So when that happens, how do you recover that customer? How do you get that customer to still have a great experience with you and avoid, like I said, anything less than a 5-star review, or, refunding them their money back, or even, getting sued?
Right.
So
So in a situation like that, I'm trying to think of a situation where I could have potentially lost the sale, but I ended up recovering it. That's a great question. I would say that'd probably be a situation. Probably would be in regards to pricing.
okay.
So I'll talk about a recent example. I'll talk about estate plan signings, right? And I always talk about when you're working with attorneys. Um, it's typically like a flat. They typically tend to do like flat rates, right?
Right.
Just like you would do. I feel like because you got obviously when we talk about loan signings, you get paid by the package, but then estate plan signings had that same exact thing. Only difference is you got to be a notary signing agent for loan signing. Estate plan signings you don't have. So I had a
Right.
situation where I had an estate plan signing. Talking to the attorney, I was referred to her, and she asked me what was my pricing. So I say, we do flat rates, $200 for single signers, 250 for couples, and I'm basing that based off the amount of because typically most estate plan signings, if you're doing a basic or if you're having a customized plan, range between 10 to 20 signatures. So when we're talking 10 to 20 signatures, I mean, if I'm just charging you based off signatures, I mean, we're probably talking about 250, 300, depending on what it is.
Right.
So when I let her know what the flat rate price was, she was like, I'm not sure about that. That's a little bit pricey. And so in a situation like that, if you don't really know what you're doing, you can say, okay, well, my price is my price. That's what I charge, and let them go in a different direction. Or you can ask a follow up question, which is, Okay, if you feel that's a little, if that was a bit pricey, what were you kind of expecting coming into this call?
Right.
And she was basically telling me, well, typically donors charge me based on the base for travel and the amount of signatures, and for this type of signing, I don't think the fee would justify the signatures. So my follow up question to that was, okay, well, can you please confirm the amount of signatures that you need notarized? And so what she told me, she ended up telling me it was 7 signatures, but it was a package. It's a estate plan signing package, but it's only 7 signatures that need to be notarized. Now, when she said that, I was like, okay, let me readjust my pricing based on the fee per signature. So when she told me that, I ended up readjusting the price to around 250, or no, not 250. I ended up adjusting the price to 155, and she was okay with that because I'm charging for signatures plus travel.
Right.
So I ended up. I don't want to say I closed the deal yet, because she still has to do some confirming with her clients, but she pretty much is going to go ahead with using our services. So I say that to say, if you really are just really strict, like I don't want to say strict, but if you're like really hard about your pricing, and that's your price is your price, you could potentially lose a client like that. Now, I look at it from the standpoint where I like working with businesses, because typically businesses, I ain't taking no chances with you, buddy. Typically businesses, they need your services. So it's typically not no back and forth with your pricing in regards to if you're working with a customer or you're working with a consumer. They can be really funny about pricing, or they're shopping around for the most part. They want to get the best price. Whereas in regards to businesses, it's like, hey, okay, if that's your price, okay, let's get this done. So again, I was in a situation where I could have potentially lost an estate plan attorney client. So, but that's another example I could throw up there. Hopefully that relates to what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, it do. Yeah, so it's important to be able to like pivot like that too, because it's like
Yeah.
you definitely want to save the relationship. Again, you want to save that customer experience with you. So, and at the end of the day, like you're still making more than you would have made if that person decided to hang up and go with somebody else. So,
Right.
definitely got to keep all those into consideration.
Mm-hmm. So I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, so we are and I think that's a perfect segue when they talk about pricing, right? So a lot of most times that the times that you are going to lose a customer, most times it's going to be based on pricing, right? And so I would say my best advice would be able to anticipate those objections coming into those conversations, right? Because you are going to get some pushback. I mean, if you don't know how to if you don't pretty much don't know how to handle those type of situations, you will lose a client, and they will end up going to someone else who's more experienced, who's been in these type of situations numerous times. Is going to be confident over the phone and know how to handle that situation.
Yeah.
So I would go into that saying, always anticipate objections. Like always anticipate someone telling you no, because because even though we are notaries for the most part, people when they do got deadlines to reach and they need documents notarized, of course they typically are going to go with your services. But you do tend to have those people that do shop around. They want to go
Mhm.
for the best price. They want you to be that $30 notary.
Yep.
And you got to be able to anticipate those objections, and you got to be able to articulate your value so you can be able to acquire that customer. Because who's to say, down the line you may come across that will client. And
Yep.
I don't know about you, but those will clients that send you 10, 15, 20 signings a month, and
Mhm.
those are typically great clients to have. And so leading up to those situations, you want to be able to know how to handle that, so you don't happen to lose that potential customer.
Yeah. Nah, for real. I would say also, just being able to, like you said, anticipate and be able to communicate your value. Like communicating your value is going to take it a long way. There's so many people who do what we do. It don't matter what profession you're in. Like,
Yeah.
they say nothing new, is invented under the sun. So it's important for you to be able to identify like why me specifically, and that can go in through your expertise, through your knowledge, through your personality. There's so many ways where you can communicate what it is that you bring to the table or why you're the best person for the job outside of just lowering your price.
Right. Yeah, I think that's like the easiest. I mean, outside of, I mean, obviously, I'm considering my situation. You know, I want to keep the customer, but I think that's what most notaries do. They say, "Well, I'm gonna just lower my pricing because I want to keep this client." But you got to also be able to, again, at least to asking questions as well, because you don't always want to lower your price.
Right.
And I think that's another thing. You don't always want to lower your price because you got to understand, again, it all comes into knowing your value, what you bring to the table, knowing that you're an expert in handling in particular documents, and especially if you're dealing with a particular signing. Like, well, I'll throw an example out. Let's say if we got a signing that's at a nursing home. Obviously, you know, if you go into a nursing home for a signing, it's probably going to be either for an estate plan or it's going to be for a power of attorney signing. So knowing that, you want to be familiar with those type of documents, especially power of attorneys, you know, durable power of attorneys, medical power of attorneys, advanced healthcare directives, all that type of documents. You want to be able to be familiar with you want to be familiar with how to handle those type of documents, because there's certain wording in those documents where, like most people, you know, if they come across a document, they don't know what a principal is, they don't know what an attorney in fact is, right? So over the phone, you want to be able to ask, like, hey, do you know, is the person, are you asking this on behalf of someone? Okay, are they being coerced? Do they understand the situation? If I go there, are they going to be able to tell me that they're attentive, they understand the situation, understand what they're signing? Right. You want to be able to articulate that value over the phone. And so when you're able to ask those type of questions, and then when you do give your pricing, that person is more than likely, that customer is going to more than likely is going to end up going in your direction, because you actually know how to handle or guide the signer through that situation, as opposed to someone say, "Oh, I have a power of attorney. Okay, I want 150." Yeah. But you tell them 150, and they're like, "Okay," even though it may be a couple of signatures, why am I paying you 150? But if you're not able to articulate why they're paying 150 for that signing, they're just going to end up going in a different direction. Yeah. And somebody else that's more experienced, and they will have more experience with handling those type of situations. So I would say, yeah, like, do your due diligence, do your homework, get familiar with these type of documents so you can be able to keep those customers. Because working with signing services, it's not really too much back and forth you're going to do. Mm-hmm. The signing service, they're going to ask if, are you available? And if it's not the fee that you want, you know, they're going to hit you back with a counter offer. And if they don't like the counter offer, they're just going to go in a different direction. Yeah. Well, when we dealing with the type of clients we work with, weddings, general notary work, it's a little bit more conversation that's involved. It's a little bit more that goes into it than just saying, yes, I'll take on the signing. Right. So if you're able to get more reps and get those phone calls in, you are going to deal with some no's along the way, but those no's are going to help you as you the longer you continue to stay in the business. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I want to add in on that as well.
Nah, that's absolutely true. And I feel like going back to like the wedding side, like there are things that you can do to kind of just like add value into like that experience. So like for me, I have a couple that I am, you know, rescheduling because I have something that popped up on the date, and we're doing something simple like a marriage license signing. So it ain't like they booked the venue and, you know, they have all these people coming or anything like that. It's something that can be moved. But when I was going back and forth about how I was going to approach the rescheduling, I was like, oh, you know, I can offer them, you know, $50 back for them to reschedule for the inconvenience. And you know who popped in my head? Coach Bruce. Coach Bruce is like, we don't like reduce the price, we add value. So I was like, you know what? Let me offer them, you know, one of my arches that I have to be rented, and like offer them that as a free upgrade for moving to the new date. And so it's like even those little moments like that where you're thinking like, okay, this person has paid me for this date, we've, you know, locked it in, but like now I have to reschedule. I don't want this to reflect poorly on like my business or anything like that. Like then you start going through these things like, okay, now how can I satisfy this situation beforehand? And a lot of times the first thing we get to is like, okay, let's give them some of their money back. Right. That doesn't have to happen. Like you can always find different ways to like add value to that experience or add some type of convenience, you know, to that experience that may be a little bit more in your half, but you still get to get what you want, and then you still get to get your, you know, full service fee. So that's just an example.
So I was going to ask, so when you talking about that, I got 2 questions I want to ask. So number one, in that situation where you say, you don't want to reduce your price. You want to add value. Now, in that situation, how would someone? What would be some best advice for someone to, if they're in that situation, how to pivot? Basically,
Mhm.
like knowing how to pivot in that situation. Should they? Is it a matter of knowing? Okay, just having like a like putting yourself like in mock situations like that, where it may be like, okay, it may be something that pop up down the line where,
Yeah.
okay, if this does happen, this is what I'm going to do in this particular situation. Like, how would someone like know how to pivot or be prepared for that type of situation?
I mean, I think you just having different upgrades in your head already just off the
Hmm.
rip. So maybe one of them is, offering 10% off or maybe $5 off, like a future purchase. So you're still not giving any money back in that moment, but you're adding incentive for them to, purchase with you again. Then
Hmm.
while you're there, of course, you're going to provide the best type of service possible. You're going to give them that, white glove, top excellent service so
Yeah.
that they are more likely to use you again in the future. And then you have like that added incentive. So that's
Hmm.
one. I mean, another one can be, in my case, if you do have different things you can add on, so like say it is someone who does like maybe estate plans or something like that, and you deal with them on a reoccurring basis, be like, all right, next time I'll provide one witness for free. Something like, very
Yeah.
small, very simple, that is already like within your wheelhouse of like services that you can add on, or that's something that they may need that you can add on a discounted rate or something like that. So like for me, of course I would charge, to use my arches, but in this case I'm going to absorb that fee because it really doesn't cost me anything to bring it. I already have it, whatever,
Hmm.
whatever. um I guess in my situation I was thinking like, oh, should I also decorate it? But it's like now we doing too much. Like
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna
Right.
offer it to you. It's pretty, it's gold. You could do it plain, and it's still gonna add some elegance to any environment that you put it in. But then you can also provide your own decorations for a personalized touch. Something simple like that is not
Hmm.
taking again anything more from you but it's adding to that situation. So I would say definitely have some things, maybe like three things at the top of your head that you can offer to a customer in a moment that maybe something goes haywire and you want to bring it back on track. That's not going to take away from, your profit in that moment. Maybe a future possible profit, but not the one that
Hmm.
you're currently sitting in.
So part of this too was like quick thinking.
Yeah.
Was part of it like look, just being quick on your feet. Okay, and that too, and also too knowing your product.
Yes.
And I would say no,
Yeah.
and that's a really real big piece is knowing your product. I come across a lot of notaries where one of the questions that they have is like they want to know like part of it is like knowing their pricing and also don't knowing what to offer. So I would say if anyone for anyone watching this, I would say know your product,
Yeah.
know what your offers are ahead of time. So if you do get in a situation like that, you quick on your feet and you just not stumped. You look like
Yeah.
because when you stump like that, it was like down right there, that person, sales is all about tonality. People can like tell in your voice if you're not really
Yeah.
confident in what you're not confident in what you're offering. So if people can
Yeah.
sense that what's that word I'm looking for? If they can sense that you're not confident in what you offer, they just gonna go in a different direction. So
Yeah.
I would say being quick on your feet and knowing your product ahead of time. And then another question that I had, I don't think we talked about this before. I don't know if this is in your course. So if it is, you can just give me a limited answer. But what are some like some common objections that you do come across for weddings?
Objections?
Yes, if any, if like any
I
of that
would
like a
say
common
not
objection.
really. Yeah, I
Really?
can't say that I really, yeah, because it's like you're basically, when you're in this position, I'm just waiting for you to tell me what you want to do. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I'm kind of, in a way, it's like I'm down for whatever. Like you want to have a big ceremony, okay, I'm cool with it. You want to add these kind of like unity rituals, all right, I'm cool with it because you're providing the supplies. I'm just finding the wording, to go along with it. So when it comes to objectives, I don't really have much. I would say what I foresee though is maybe with like rehearsals, just because if you're communicating the value of a rehearsal, then more than likely your couple is going to want you to be there, which calls for an additional fee. That's a way that you can add on to, your package or your services.
Yeah.
But you also want to keep in mind that you may have to put some borders or restrictions around that because popularly the day before is the rehearsal. So if you have a Saturday wedding, you mean you're having a rehearsal on a Friday, or if you have a Sunday wedding, you're having a rehearsal on a Saturday, and those are like prime wedding days. So you definitely want to keep yourself available to get a full, package profit versus an add-on like a rehearsal. So I can see that, being maybe an issue that I run into in the future. And now I'm trying to think of ways that I'm going to kind of, move around that. But with weddings, it's so like a la carte. Like, you tell me what you want to do. You tell me what you want to add. We can make it as basic, as elaborate, as fun, as not traditional, as modern, as religious as you want it to be. So
Yeah.
objections, not so much. Not so much.
Interesting.
Not even with price. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I would have thought, because obviously with different different products and services, there's always going to be some pushback or something. So I would have thought when it comes to weddings, like let's say if it's me and my fiance, we come to you, it's like, oh, we want this and that, and you say, okay, like you said, okay, we can't do that, right? And then once I listen to you and do the intake, okay, this is what the cost is going to be going into that. I thought there would have been some pushback. Now, is it sort of like as I mentioned earlier, as we talk about businesses, right, where they don't got time to be like going back and forth with you with pricing. We need to get this done. Is wedding sort of along that line? It's like, yo, this is a wedding date. We need to get this done. This is the price. Okay, cool. This is what we gonna pay.
Yeah, because a lot of the times, like, a couple is the first thing they're coming to you is about pricing. A lot of people have their pricing transparent on their websites or whatever, or they have a starting at price. So it's starting at this price. So you know that this is the minimum and it can only go up. And so even in my, like, when you schedule your consultation, I have something on my website that lets you know before you schedule your consultation, this is kind of my booking process. This is what it looks like. And then on the flip side, when they do schedule, it's like, I've reviewed the pricing sheet and my packages are within your budget. So now we're clarifying that before we even get on a consultation, because what's the point of having this conversation if I'm outside of your budget, unless you're making plans to still be able to pay for me. So that's kind of what it boils down to in terms of pricing. But then you have to recognize like the industry that we're in, like the ranges of what a wedding can cost can be up to $1 million plus. So it really just depends on like the budget of the couples that you're working with or what you're attracting. You always want to make sure that wherever your price is, you're attracting couples that can fit that into their budget, and that's it.
I think that's really dope, because the consumer, like for the person that's getting wedding, even though they're not essentially a business, but they're pretty much a consumer. So I mean, they are the consumer for the most part. So that's a different type of client than you're dealing with a person who may need an application notarized. They just gonna shop around, as opposed to like, no, we getting married. This is our special day.
Yes.
Because they already because ahead of time they've already budgeted as far as, okay, this is the budget for the catering, this is the budget for your tux, for your wedding dress, for the repast. This is the budget for
not the repast.
Not you're right. What's it called? I forgot.
The reception. That's funny.
Yeah. The reception. My bad. Not the repast, y'all. Y'all know what I meant.
That was good.
That's funny. But no, that is funny. I said repast. That's funny. Now I was gonna say, you already budgeting for all your different needs for a wedding, and so. Again, like they it's not really too much. So I didn't realize that. I thought because I would have thought, like you said, with the different services that you offer in business, it's always going to be a little bit of push. Someone's going to give you pushback, or it's going to be an objection. But when it comes to this, especially because for women, this is really their day more than anything.
It's not a moment you'll ever get back. So
right. So they not finna be like going back and forth with you, like, oh, pricing, blah blah blah. Now,
if they want you, they're gonna pay for you.
Now what if it's a situation where a person is eloping? They're not doing a big, like not having a big wedding date. It's just them and want to get this done, and they just want to be in and out. Now, would that be a situation where they may have some pushback with pricing, or it's probably along the same lines? Like, no, let's just we want to get this done.
Honestly, it's probably along the same lines, or there's even a more concentration on the ceremony. So what you see with bigger weddings is there's a bigger concentration on the reception. So people care about the, their guest experience, they care about the entertainment, they care about the food. None of those things happen during the ceremony. But what your
Mm,
reception is you're celebrating this symbolic, togetherness that happened during the actual ceremony. When you're eloping, you less care about the reception, right? Like you
mm,
not paying for a whole bunch of people to eat and have a good time and drink until they don't remember what happened yesterday. You're
mhm.
more focused on your love, and maybe even if it is about keeping it more cost effective, you still kind of move whatever budget you have to focus on the ceremony more. So you're probably even more likely to get, a professional officiant who really specializes in telling your love story, and really just creates like that experience, that once in a lifetime experience for you, like in your person.
So
So
pretty
yeah.
much, what it pretty much what it boils down to, they're pretty much paying for the experience. They ain't
Yes.
worrying about the price. They ain't worried about the price. So they're more worried. They're pretty much just paying. They're pretty much more worried about having a great experience and creating that long lasting memory, something they'll never
Yes.
forget.
So now it don't have a price tag. So that's why the wedding industry is,
Ah,
such a massive industry. And
that makes perfect
yeah,
sense.
because I've
That makes
seen
perfect sense.
officiants who, again, you can find officiants who charge 250. You can find
Mhm.
officiants who charge 950. You can find officiants who charge 1,500 and 2,800. I literally was just watching someone who was officiant in New Jersey. She is a celebrity officiant, but she also charges like 2,800 for her local weddings. Like you ain't fly her out yet. You know what I mean? You haven't
Yeah.
booked her hotel yet in your hotel yet. So to the fact that you can find an officiant for 25 $250, but you can also
Yeah.
find an officiant for $2,500. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're
That's
definitely
dope.
paying for the experience. Yeah.
That's pretty cool right there. I wouldn't even thought about it. I wouldn't even thought about that. And I think that all goes back into that value aspect, right?
Yeah.
Um it's a lot of value that you're going to get will go with you someone for utilize your services because you know all that entails for making sure this is a experience that you'll never forget. So whether if it's $1,000, 1,500, 2,800,
Yeah.
like yo, we'll pay that as long as we get something experience that we'll never forget.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll pay for that. Man, I wish. How come? I wish that we can get something like that for all, maybe like just outside of weddings for signings. Now I understand that there are some
I
situations where
mean,
that's not always the case, but
yeah.
that's pretty dope. I would have never thought about that. You're not paying
Yeah.
for the service, you're paying for the experience for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah, you're
Mm,
definitely paying for the experience. So when it comes to officiating in particular, like that's why it's super important to be able to communicate your value, communicate the benefits, communicate what you're going to produce for
mhm.
your couples, because that's what they care most about. It's like in that
Yeah,
moment at the altar, am I crying? Am I laughing?
yeah,
Are we dressed up and now we're basically transported into Star Wars? Like what
yeah.
exactly are you looking for? What experience? How do you want to feel? Like those are the questions that you really want to ask. And then in those consultations, you have to communicate that you can fulfill their unique experience that they're looking for. And that's how you get to the contract part.
And when you're working with someone like how you just I broke all of that down. I would imagine your conversion rate is pretty high. I would imagine your conversion rate is pretty high because I didn't want to get married again. Just talking to you, just
I do vow renewals, everything.
and then renew my vows. Just listening to you just now, but that's dope though. But that all goes back again to you wouldn't have gotten to that point though if it wasn't for like having those reps,
Yeah.
multiple phone calls, being on those calls with those couples, listening to what their needs are, what their wants
Yeah.
are, just placing yourself in those environments. Listening to you is easy. It's easy sitting here and listen to it, and then it sounds with the way you make it sounds easy, right? But again, it's based on the reps that you have. But if you're not in those environments where you're positioning yourself to fail,
Yeah.
where we not. I mean, you're in those situations where you're not afraid to fail, and you learn from those L's that you may have taken, or you may have dropped the ball. You wouldn't be in the position that you are now. So I think that's pretty dope. I didn't even think of it like that, because when I think of like products and services, obviously you have to. It's always got to be some value there. No one's just going to just buy something just for the sake of it. Like, there's always got to be some value there. But I never thought about the experience. Now,
Yeah.
when I think of experiences, obviously, because I'm looking at it because I'm my perspective. I'm looking at it from a signing aspect, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
always think about providing a positive signing experience. So for me, what is a positive signing experience looks like? All right, if we're in a situation where we get the client gets some documents, and they get some estate plan documents, and we find out that the name of their address is wrong, and
Hmm.
they're like freaking out trying to get in contact with the attorney and make sure we get the updated documents. You can either sit there, be annoyed, and make the situation even worse, and be like, "Hey, I got another appointment. I got to get out of here. Can we wrap this up?" Or you can sit there and be patient. It's like, "Hey, I understand this could be a little frustrating, but I promise you, if if we get everything settled, we can get this done right away. Just take your time. We don't need to rush this. Like little stuff like that can make the experience much better. Because I have heard stories from like clients where they've had notaries come to their home, and that notary may have had a few appointments for that day, and the signing
Yeah.
went longer than expected. And they like tell them like, "Yo, listen, can we like wrap this up? We don't got time to be
Hmm.
sitting here talking too much." And customers can get pissed off from that, or the
Yeah.
signers can get pissed off from that. So I think about it from that aspect, is always creating a positive experience with signings. But listen to you just now. I got to figure out a way how I can create that experience for with your wedding, for weddings,
Yeah.
recreate that for weddings. Recreate that for signings. Because let's be honest. If I'm signing an estate plan, yeah, I'm excited. I don't think anyone's excited about filling out an estate plan
Right.
document. Right. I don't think no one. Obviously, you're excited about the fact that okay, we get this taken care of. But I don't think no
Right.
one's be like, "Oh, I'm signing my state plan documents. Oh, this is an experience I'll never forget." I don't think no one. I don't think no one is essentially doing that. But,
Right.
but I think depending on the type of person you are, if you can go to that signing table and you can make them feel comfortable, create a comfortable environment for them to where they feel comfortable with signing the documents. If they have a particular question about a document, if you could point it out, or you can tell them, "Hey, I can't answer that question in particular, but I can get your attorney on the phone so we can give you the best answer possible." I think about recreating those type of experiences. Then yeah, I need to figure out how I can do that. Because when I think about them, because it's listening to you just now, like, what is it's like? The experience is like, okay, you're gonna let $1,000 to $1,500 hold you back from having the best wedding of your life,
Right.
something that you're probably not going to get again. Because I don't
Right.
know. I don't know the official numbers on people that renew their vows. I don't know that number, but I would assume if you don't end up renewing your vows, you want to make sure you want to have an experience that you'll never forget, something that's long lasting, that's going, especially if you got kids and everything. Like, you want to be able to tell your kids and your
Yeah.
grandkids
Yeah.
about your wedding at the end of the day. So it's you can't really put a price on that.
No, you really can't. And I guess the way that you just thought about it made me think about it too. So it's like your product is the script that you write and the way that you actually perform the ceremony, right? Like that's your end product. That's what they're paying for. That's what they're waiting for. But your service is every time that you engage with them, like, during your business. So ceremony planning, for me, my couples interviews, the packets that I give them or education I give them or ideas, like all of that is a part of like the services that they experience or that I provide for them. So it's like, thought creation, discussing ideas and organization, going over their ceremony flow so they just understand what they have to do for that day. Like that's literally all the services that you kind of provide. And I guess I never thought about it like that, but those are
Yeah,
the benefits of having a professional officiant. Like
yeah,
your friends and family ain't gonna know to do that.
yeah. They're not gonna know. That's why I pays work with the best. See, man, you see, man, you got me really motivated right now. I damn near want to hit the drawing board again and figure out what can I do to how can I recreate that experience? Because you always want to, when you're working with customers, working with clients, you don't want them to have a bad experience working with you, because
Yeah.
folks talk. They will leave you a bad review. They will take word of mouth. Just like word of mouth works positively, it can work negatively for you as well if you don't do a great if you don't do a great job. So, and that's always something that's common too when we dealing with loan signings, working with because the title company or the lender or the signing service, they're gonna ask how was their experience with you. And that's something that I always typically do too. I always ask for my estate plan signings or just my signings in general. It's always creating that experience, because again, it's boring to sign documents. Like no one is going into it like, ooh, I can't wait to sign these documents. Ooh, I can't wait to
Right.
sign my power of attorney documents. This is going to be an experience I'll never forget. Like, no, typically if you're in that situation, one, you either being proactive, you getting that stuff done ahead of time, or
Right.
you in a situation where your hands are forced, or you in the hospital and anything can happen, and anything can happen any day now. We need to get this taken care of. So typically those are not like exciting experiences to be a part of.
Yeah.
So I need to figure out how can I recreate that the excitement of experience of working a wedding, but above for our signings as well. So I got some homework to do.
No, that's good though. And that made me think about two things. It made me think about one in the notary space. If you guys do not know who Stamped by Shaquita is, y'all better go follow her, because the
Yeah,
way
she
that
dope.
she highlights her customer experience in her notary business is something to truly pay attention to. She also did an interview on Womanomics podcast, so shameless plug. But we kind of got into that. Yeah, we definitely got into like how like now like customers are like looking for her and they're excited to do their signing because they know they're going to take that signature stamp photo after, right? Now your customers are like raving about what is it like to experience your energetic personality while you're also, professionally getting their stuff done, right? So I feel like that is one way in the notary world where that happens. And then for a wedding example, like for me, I had posted, I think, some type of advertisement, like marketing flyer that I created on Canva, and like a Black owned New Jersey business page. So it's a business page or Facebook group that highlights Black owned businesses. And so I posted my thing in there, and a bride that I had booked, like wrote under, like, oh, you need to make sure that you book a consultation. After our consultation, we knew she was the officiant for us, blase, blase. I haven't even performed their ceremony yet. It's the 13th of this month. But just from our consultation, now you're going and sharing your experience, in this platform. I didn't ask her to. I didn't even know she was in that Facebook group. It's so many people in there. But as the eyes go down, they're going to see her comments. So the biggest thing you want to create is just, like I said, those raving reviews where like people are like, are walking testimonials like for your business. And we talk about it all the time. Like people sing praises for Beyonce, people sing praises for Chick-fil-A, people sing praises for, I don't know, like not TJ Maxx, Target. People go to Target. Yeah. So it's all about like kind of what they experience. And the experience is so good that now they're talking about your business before you even talk about your business, and in rooms that you're not, even in yet. So you can have that for your notary business the same way you can have it for your wedding officiant business, but it's all about just bringing forth your expertise as well as your personality and letting that be the forefront, because you can do the work, you can check off the tasks, like you can do it. So you got to add in your own little flair to it.
I got homework to do. No, I think this is really dope, because I mean, coming into this, like I always try to keep that in mind. Like when I'm at the signing table, okay, let's be. I always think about being a professional.
Right.
I think if you're professional, everything else is gonna fall in place. Being able to answer their questions, treating, obviously coming into a person's home. One of the first things I try to do, I mean, side note, always ask, because people are funny about their house, so I always ask, like, hey, do you need me to take my shoes off?
Right.
Oh,
small stuff.
Yeah, little stuff, just small stuff like that, and they see that you're respectful of their home, because again, because even though we are going to their home to notarize the documents, you are again a guest in their home. You want to treat their house with respect. That's just like if someone were to come to my house. I don't want you to just be coming up in my house with your kicks on. You've been walking through the grass, you just walking on my carpet and just doing whatever, right? Like the same way I would want somebody to come in my house with respect. I'm gonna treat the other person the same as well. So just little stuff like that. Yeah. Recreating an exciting experience, but for estate plan signings and for power of attorney signings. Because I mean, more times than not, from my experience, when you do create those positive signing experience, the signers they're typically grateful for you to even come there. Because again, with the type of signers that I deal with, it's if you're proactive, yeah, they may be in a great mood, but if it's in a situation we are going to a hospital or if we're going to a nursing home facility, 9 times out of 10, those are not exciting situations to be in. They're not excited to they're excited. I mean, I would say they're excited about, okay, whew, it's a sigh of relief. We can get this done. We don't got to worry about going to court, something like that. But it's not like, oh, let's get this signed. We're going to be good to go. Like, that's typically not an exciting situation. So you got to go into that with obviously being a professional, empathize, having empathy for them. And sometimes, I mean, people, they tend to, I think for us as notaries, it's not obviously it's not our job to talk about how to do X, Y, and Z. But sometimes people just want to be heard too. They got stories that they want to share, how they ended up in the situation, why they need to get this signed. And I mean, sometimes you can create a positive signing experience by just sitting there and listening to them, because sometimes they family ain't listening to them. They don't have no one else to talk to or share this with. So that could be an opportunity for you to lend an ear and just sit there and listen and just even though the signing may be about 10 to 15 minutes or probably less than that, but they're appreciative of you for just sitting there and taking the time to listen to things that they've been dealing with and just for you lending the ear in general. So just little stuff like that can go a long way, can go a really long way.
And they mention in your reviews as well. So that's always, super important.
Yeah.
You want more than just the 5 stars, right? Even if it's like a sentence or two, we prefer something a little bit longer, but just, engaging in small talk, something simple like the weather, if they're in a hospital, just doing maybe a little joke.
Like
just like super small.
Yeah, I do stuff like that. Yeah, if I and that goes back to shout out to my guy Jay Yancey, Theories of Jay on Twitter. If y'all not familiar, man, he's like
he killed it.
He's the guy when it comes to customer service, and he's someone like whenever he drops little nuggets on Twitter or stuff like that, I listen to it.
Yep.
Like because he's so particular about customer service and like his wording. I'll give you an example. He posted on Twitter one time after a signing. One thing that you could say is it was a pleasure representing your firm, or it was a pleasure. Yeah, it was a pleasure representing your business. Little stuff like that. Right, little stuff he does like that. So I tend to take, and one thing he said in particular one time is like, let's say if I'm walking into someone's home, a great way to build rapport, you gotta know the environment that you're in. So he is saying it's like, all right, if I happen to go into someone's home, and if I'm going to a person's house and I see they got a Patriots license plate, something like that, first thing I'm gonna say is like, oh, I know that you're a Patriots fan. How you think their season is gonna go?
Yeah.
And there's just like that. Those are just like icebreakers, like icebreaker conversations, stuff like that, and things like that goes a long way. So yeah, this little stuff like that can really push you over the top. We gotta do our shameless plug. I think we gave a lot of value. I would say you mainly gave a ton of value in this episode. I'm damn near gonna watch this again myself because it really got my gears going about recreating those experiences.
Yeah, seriously.
So that's gonna be some homework for me. Tell the people what you got coming up. I know probably a wedding workshop or something. If you haven't, you might want to sign up like right now. That's a fact.
It's funny. Well, before I do that, I just wanted to tie back to give you guys what was the solution for our initial problem, which was that the marriage license got lost, and I got a call like basically, I don't know what to do next, and I'm kind of just embarrassed that this happened for my business. Basically. And the first thing is you can only control the controllables, right? So no matter what you do, once that marriage license is outside of your hands, whether you directly drop it off or mail it, you always want to get a tracking number so you can, just show at least proof on your behalf that you did send it out. But mainly once it goes to the post office, UPS, FedEx, is outside of your control. So the best thing you can do is just kind of recover that customer experience, one, by apologizing, even if you want to put it on the Postal Service apologizing, for the Postal Service, offering to obviously sign the marriage license again, as well as, coordinated maybe payment for that marriage license, because what the marriage license costs, based on what they probably paid you, you should still be walking out with, plenty of profit in order to cover that. So you just want to still, like I said, provide that 5-star experience by recovering, what happened, whether it was in your control or outside your control. Because at the end of the day, we know the post office ain't paying for nothing. So you're either going to put it on them or you're going to absorb it yourself just to save, face for that 5-star review. So that was my circle back. I think our conversation went so many different places, but in the best of ways, because of course a wealth of value in there. But shameless plug is, oh yes, absolutely. Shameless plug is, of course, follow our Instagram, Wedding Efficient Academy _ as well as join our Clubhouse house. Clubhouse made us a house, which is kind of cool. We have about 33 members on there. So we're looking to, just keep adding to it. If you're looking to grow in the officiant space or learn about it or really just level up, honestly, please get connected with me. That's probably, I ain't gonna say the best thing you can do in the world, but it's definitely top 3. It's definitely top 3. So I would definitely encourage you to join our Clubhouse. We have meetings on there twice a month where you can come in, ask your questions. It's basis like this. I still talk like this, so you ain't getting too much different. But and we'll be planning our next Wedding Efficient social, our meetup in New Jersey towards the end of this month, I think on the 25th. So I'll get a location out, but if you're in the building, New Jersey, PA, New York, definitely come and join us. It'll be in Central Jersey, maybe the Middlesex County area, if you're familiar. That's it for me. What about you?
What I got coming up? I need to do a workshop. I haven't done a free workshop in a minute. I gotta figure out what the workshop that I'm gonna do. I'll figure it out. But I mean, what we got going on? Obviously, we have estate plan signing 101, the best estate plan signing course in the market, in my opinion. Want to learn about how to perform estate plan signings, how to market and build your business through estate plan signings? Yes, it is very possible. Visit www.estateplansigningcourse.com. I am increasing the price of the course. So the price where it's at now is $147. It will be going up to $247. I have quite a few students right now who I always get DMs from. Oh, I'm doing a witness only signing for estate plan signing. What should I do? I just got an approach about estate plan signing as a customized plan. What should I do? So always getting approaching different students that's booking more estate plan signings by the day, it seems like. So while the price is at $147, I would encourage you to definitely take advantage of it, because the price will be going up Monday, which would be on the 8th. It'll be on the 8th next week. We'll be going up to $247. So if you have not taken advantage of it, I would definitely encourage you to take advantage of it. We also got the Notary League as well. It's a network of like-minded notary entrepreneurs. If you're a beginner notary or you're a seasoned notary and you just need help with marketing your business, you just need help with accountability, having someone to push you and help you stay true to your goals, go to stampingacademy.gumroad.com. It's $37 a month. We meet up twice a week. We have Mondays for accountability. We talk about holding yourself accountable to your goals. We do goal setting on Mondays as well, and then we meet up on Fridays to see what you did for the week. What were your wins? What you didn't get accomplished, and what some things that we could work on so we can continue to build. A lot of times I find that most notaries, most people that are coming across, they know how to perform the job. They know what to do. It just, for some reason, whether it's a mental thing, whether it's a mental thing that they're dealing with, or just whatever obstacles those invisible obstacles that they feel that is in the way, we try to help you get over those and push through. So if you haven't already, make sure you join the Notary League so we can get you on the right foot, so we can help you put some money in your pockets. All right. Thank you, T. Thank you, everyone, for viewing Leveraging Your L's. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. We want to get this video going in the algorithms. And until next time, y'all. Peace.
Bye, y'all.